I am not someone who believes that having multiple armed guards in every school is something that will enhance the learning environment. And that's our first responsibility inside a school, is the learning environment. You don't want to make this an armed camp for kids. I don't think that's a positive example for children. We should be able to figure out some other ways to enhance safety.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, my next guest, says armed guards are exactly what America's schools need next. In the wake of the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School, Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County in Arizona has called for armed volunteers to patrol around 50 schools under his jurisdiction. And the sheriff joins us now. Welcome to you, Sheriff.
How you doing, Piers?
Explain to me why you believe that the answer to these gun massacres is to have a lot more guns.
Well, you know, I'm not going to get into that. We have many, many laws pertaining to guns already. We ought to enforce those laws. But I'm taking immediate action. I have a volunteer posse made up of 3,500 are armed, well-trained, 100 hours of training. We just finished another program at the malls, very successful. So why not utilize and mobilize the posse, which a sheriff can do, in the perimeters? I don't believe in putting the posse in the schools, but protect the kids and the teachers by outside patrol, visible, deterrence, and keep these bad guys out of the schools.
At Columbine, you'll be aware, there was an armed sheriff. 12 students got killed and a teacher. At Fort Hood, which is one of the most protected Army bases in the world, 13 people were killed, 29 wounded. At Virginia Tech, there were a number of armed security people. Why on earth do you think that these patrolmen, as you put it, who you've just taken off the streets and given a bit of training to, could do any better?
Well, we don't pick them off the streets. They're well-trained, and they have the authority under this sheriff. Nothing is perfect. Look at Norway. You remember the massacre in Norway that don't even allow guns? So you never can say everything is perfect, but you sure can take action, try to deter any operation. Don't surrender. Don't just talk about it, that every politician seems to be doing. Get something done. So that's what I'm doing.
What about this old quaint idea? What about taking guns off the streets rather than flooding the streets with more guns?
Well, I don't know. We have a Second Amendment. You know, you've been through this, many conversations about this. You have a First Amendment. There's a Second Amendment. But guns do not kill. People kill. We just had 2 murders, my office investigated, by knives. Should we take all the knives away? I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, I suppose where you draw... Here's my point, Sheriff. Here's my point, which I tried to make to Alex Jones, but he was ranting too loudly to really focus on what I was saying. In Britain, we had a
Don't take it out on me.
No, I won't. In Britain, we had a very similar massacre in Dunblane in Scotland in 1996. As a result, as I'm sure you know, a national handgun ban was brought in, and it also banned all automatic and most semi-automatic rifles as well. So it would have banned the weapons that have been used at Aurora, at Sandy Hook, and the Oregon shopping mall, and others. And since then, there's been no single shooting at a school in Britain. There have been 2 smaller massacres in that period, both by people who actually had licenses for these arms. But in the main, Britain has been almost gun murder free, and it averages about 35 gun murders a year, as I tried to tell Alex Jones. In America, where you have 300 million firearms in circulation and you have extraordinarily lax gun control, you have between 11 and 12,000 gun murders a year. Now, Britain is just a fifth of the size of America. 5 times 35 is not 11,000. So clearly, America has a particular problem. It has by far the greatest number of gun murders of any of the 23 richest countries in the world. So again, I put my question to you really is this. Why do people keep propagating a myth that more guns means less gun murder?
Yeah, but Piers, why are you comparing your country with the United States? I believe we have 350 million people that live in this country. I was in London, for your information. I spent a week with BBC. They were following me around on how we operate our jails, but I brought up the gun issue. The media didn't even want to address the gun issue when I said the bobbies should be armed too, because things are changing in England. but nobody wants to talk about it in England, which is really strange. You're talking about it. I'm glad you are.
It's not that strange. The situation hasn't changed because actually the number of gun murders hasn't changed. We can talk about lots of things wrong with my country. You know, there's terrible problems with knife crime, with obesity, with gang violence, all sorts of social ills. I'm not claiming my country's perfect at all. But I can tell you one thing we got right. When a load of school children were massacred by a madman with a gun, we banned guns in my country. And I'm very proud of those politicians and of the public for rising as one, left and right, it wasn't a political issue, and getting something done that has meant there's been no school shooting since. There probably will be in the future, but by God, we made it difficult. And what I don't see in America is any collective will by the people who run this country, including yourself, to try and make it more difficult for people who are disturbed to get their hands on these AR-15 style, military style assault weapons, which are killing machines.
Well, I think Smith & Wesson's 6-cylinders killed too. You know, but this is the Second Amendment. We do follow the Constitution in this country, and that's the way it is. If you don't like it, go change the laws. I'm here to enforce the laws. I'm doing the best I can to enforce the laws and protect the people of this county, Maricopa County. Now, if you want to change laws and everything else, okay. By the way, I know you're going to say something about this, but tomorrow is the year anniversary where my deputy sheriff was gunned down with a assault rifle. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to arm every one of my deputy sheriffs with automatic and semi-automatic weapons. They're going to defend themselves against anybody that tries to kill my deputies, whether it's with a gun, a knife, or a bomb.
Okay, Sheriff, that's entirely your prerogative. As you say, until the laws change, you are perfectly entitled to arm everybody you like in your jurisdiction with AR-15s. And if that's your decision and you think that's the answer to America's gun problem, then that is entirely a matter for you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We now have some breaking news. The White House has just responded to the petition to deport me for my stand on guns from Press Secretary Jay Carney. He says, I quote, "The White House responds to all petitions that cross the threshold, which is 25,000, and we will respond to this one. In the meantime, it's worth remembering that freedom of expression is a bedrock principle in our democracy." So there we have it. Not deported just yet. When we come back, America's leading political family, the Kennedys, know all too well the deadly toll of gun violence. Patrick Kennedy and Christopher Kennedy Lawford are here to talk about that and about how this country deals with mental illness.